Dislocation of hip joint. Let's discuss in detail. There are three types of dislocations of the hip joint. The first is the posterior dislocation, which is the commonest one. The second is the anterior dislocation, and the third is the center dislocation, also known as the center fracture dislocation. Now, all of these dislocations may be associated with the fracture of the lip of the acetabulum. Why this is so? We will discuss in the subsequent slide. So, in about 50% of the cases, we see that the dislocation is associated with the chip fracture of the posterior lip of the acetabulum, as you can see here in the image. When the hip gets dislocated, especially posteriorly, there are chances of the acetabulum to get fractured, and there is a kind of a chip fracture from the lip of the acetabulum. In that case, it is known as the fracture dislocation. So let's discuss the posterior dislocation of the hip joint. As you can see here in the image, the head of the femur is moving posteriorly. So whenever the head of the femur is pushed out of the acetabulum posteriorly, then it is known as the posterior dislocation of the hip. Mechanism of injury. It requires moderately severe force or the violence to dislocate this joint, which is the hip joint, as often seen in the road traffic accident. It is usually occur when a force directed along the shaft of the femur. As you can see here in the image, the occupant of the car is thrown forwards and his knee strikes against the dashboard. The force is then transmitted back. As you can see here in the image, the force is then transmitted back through the shaft of the femur to the hip joint, resulting in the posterior dislocation of the hip. As this injury occurs when the knee strikes against the dashboard, that's why this injury is also known as the dashboard injury. So after this injury, after this violence, you will see that the hip is adducted, flexed and internally rotated due to the dislocation of the hip joint posteriorly. Clinical features. The patient will give the history of severe trauma or the severe road traffic accident. There will be pain and swelling in the region of the hip joint. You will see that the patient have a deformity. As you can see here in the image, the hip joint will be flexed, adducted and internally rotated. At the same time, there will be shortening of the limb. So this is the picture with which the patient will come to the doctor after the dislocation of the hip posteriorly. Now on examination, the doctor will notice that all the movements of the hip joint are painful. Doctor may feel the head in the gluteal region when the examination is done. So this is all about examination. Now some important note, this injury is often missed, especially when it is associated with other injuries which are more obvious, like the fracture of the shaft of the femur, especially when this fracture, the shaft of the femur fracture is a displaced fracture and the fragments come out piercing the skin, or if the patient is unconscious. So it is wise in most of the cases to get the X-ray done of the pelvis in all the patients with the fracture of the femur. Sign of the vascular injury or the sciatic nerve injury may be present with this fracture. The injury to the sciatic nerve is often present if there is a chip fracture of the acetabulum. As you can see here, it is just behind the acetabulum. So when the hip dislocates posteriorly and there is a fracture of the acetabulum, so there are more chances that the chip from the acetabulum might injure the sciatic nerve. So very first sign is the loss of sensation in the posterior leg and foot. Secondly, there will be loss of dorsiflexion is due to the injury to the peroneal branch of the sciatic nerve. In case of loss of plantar flexion, the tibial branch of the sciatic nerve would be injured. Now all the deep tendon reflexes at the ankle joint will be lost. There are chances of injury to the femoral artery. As you can see here, this is a femoral artery which is present around the neck region of the femur. So there might be injury due to the dislocation of the head of the femur posteriorly. So femoral pulse may be diminished or absent. There might be local hematoma which indicates that there is a vascular injury, and along with that patient will complain pain in the hip, buttocks and the leg. So these are the indicators, these two are the indicators of the injury to the femoral artery. Radiological features. Now if there is a dislocation of one of the hip, then it is wise to get the X-ray done of the pelvis along with both the hip joints, because there might be associated injury to the pelvis or there might be some fracture or dislocation present on the other side as well. So femoral head is out of the acetabulum if there is a dislocation. In case of posterior dislocation, it will be posteriorly dislocated, as you can see here in the image. And in case of posterior dislocation, the lesser trochanter become less prominent. As you can see here, now you can compare, this is the normal side, and you can see this is the lesser trochanter. It is quite prominent, but here due to the adduction and internal rotation, bone has rotated internally. Shenton line will be broken. Shenton line, as you can see here, this dotted yellow line, it is an imaginary semicircular line, and it joins the medial cortex of the femoral neck, this medial cortex of the femoral neck, to the lower border of the superior pubic ramus. Now, as you can see here in the image. So this is a semicircular line. Now this is an imaginary line which is seen on a normal individual where there is no dislocation, but in case of the dislocation, you will see that there is a break in the Shenton line. This is the normal side and this is the dislocated joint. Now, other than that, always look for any bony chip from the lip of the acetabulum, as there are more chances of this fracture as it is associated with the posterior dislocation of the hip. As you can see here in the image, there is a posterior dislocation of the head of the femur. At that time, there might be injury to the acetabulum, and see there is a big chip present here. As you can see here in the X-ray, this is the chip that we can see present here. But for the more detail, one can go for the CT scan where one can see the size and the exact position of the chip. Now in this image, you can see there are, instead of one, multiple smaller chips, and here also you can see in the X-ray these chips, these small chips are present. But to get the more accurate view, get the CT scan done, and here you can see there are small multiple chips present around the joint. Treatment. The treatment of the posterior dislocation of a hip is an emergency. Since the longer the head remains out of the socket, out of the acetabulum, there are more chances of it becoming avascular. So this is an emergency. In most of the cases, it is possible to get the hip joint reduced by manipulation under general anesthesia. Technique of reduction. So as you can see here in the image, the patient is anesthetized and placed supine, as you can see here in the image. The surgeon then flexes the hip and knee at the right angle. This is at the right angle, both the hip and the knee joint are flexed. And then the surgeon exerts an axial pull. Usually during this time, one will hear the sound or a click, after which it is possible to move the hip joint in all the directions freely. After this reduction, the leg is kept in a light traction with the hip in abduction, because before the reduction, the hip was in adduction. Now we'll do the opposite of that. After reduction, the hip will be kept in a slight abduction under light traction for 3 to 6 weeks. After that, the hip mobilization exercises will be initiated. So this is all about close reduction. There are some conditions where close reductions cannot work. In that case, surgery or the open reduction with internal fixation is done. So what are the indications for surgery? Let's see. The very first is the failure to the close reduction. Due to many reasons, close reduction might fail. So if there is a failure to the close reduction, then one will go for the surgery. Second, intra-articular loose fragments. As you can see here in the CT scan, there are loose fragments which are present inside the joint. So they might cause injury to the joint or the structures which are present around the joint, the soft tissue structures. So in such cases, surgery is done. Third point. If there is a large fragment of the acetabulum fractured, and that is from the weight bearing area of the acetabulum. As you can see here, it is a very large fragment of the acetabulum. So in this case, we need to fix this fracture and as well as reduce the joint. Fourth is the dislocation along with the fracture of the neck of the femur. As you can see here, there is a posterior dislocation. At the same time, there is a fracture to the neck of the femur. So in such cases, surgery is recommended. These are the images where you can see that how the acetabulum is being fixed. This is the plate and the screws are used to fix the chip of the acetabulum, and then the joint is reduced. Another image where the joint is relocated in its position along with the correction to the fracture of the neck of the femur. And here you can see how the nails are used to correct the injury which is present around the joint and to reduce the joint. So open reduction and internal fixation may be followed by maintaining the lower extremity interaction for 2 to 4 weeks, and full weight bearing is usually deferred for around 12 weeks. Complications. So there are many complications which are associated with the posterior dislocation of the hip joint. The very first is the injury to the sciatic nerve. This we have already discussed, but here is the detail. As I have already told you that this nerve lies behind the posterior wall of the acetabulum. So it might get damaged by the posterior dislocation of the hip, more so if there is an associated fracture of the acetabulum, especially if there is an involvement of a large bony fragment. So whenever we perform reduction of this joint, nerve function must be tested before reduction, because it is usually during the reduction that the nerves get compressed. And if the lesion is diagnosed, then the nerve should be explored to make sure that it is not trapped by the reduction maneuver, as I have already mentioned. Now, injury in most of the cases to the sciatic nerve is neuropraxia, and hence recovery is usually spontaneous. But in case if the nerve injury is severe at this level, then the prognosis is usually poor. Next, and a very important complication is the AVN, which stands for avascular necrosis. As I have already mentioned that the treatment of dislocation of the hip joint is an emergency, because it might lead to the necrosis of the head of the femur due to the avascularity. This condition is reported in 10% of the traumatic hip dislocations. But if the reduction is delayed, and if it is delayed more than 12 hours, then this figure rises to up to 40%. Instead of 10%, it will rise to 40%. So hip joint reduction is an emergency. Then it is not only a decreased blood supply that will lead to the necrosis of the head of the femur. There are other things also, like the compression of the blood vessels, the traction of the blood vessels, and the arterial spasm in the blood vessels. And all these factors collectively will work together, leading to the avascular necrosis of the head of the femur. Now, changes of the X-ray do not appear for around 1 to 2 years after injury. So, avascular head appear dense and gradually collapse. As you can see here in the image, when you will get the X-ray done, immediately after the reduction of the hip joint, you will see everything is normal. But gradually and slowly, you will notice that the changes occur inside the head of the femur with the blood supply, intake blood supply. But here you can see, due to the injury to the blood vessels, what will happen? There is an avascular necrosis, there is a collapse of the articular cartilage, there is a necrosis of the subchondral bone. So changes gradually appear from inside to outside, and you will see that wholly or partly the head collapse. Patient will complain the pain after seemingly painless period, because initially the changes were at the micro level, but gradually they appear at the macro level. So patient will say that there was a painless period, and after some time patient starts complaining pain. So over a period of few years, there will be changes secondary to osteoarthritis, and these changes become apparent clinically as well as radiologically. As you can see here in the image, radiologically you will see that both the articulating surfaces are damaged. There is a dense appearance and the whole head is collapsing, as well as the acetabulum. Now, such cases eventually need total hip replacement. So, both the articulating surfaces will then be replaced. Now, the osteoarthritis, as I've already discussed just now, this is a late complication, usually occur after 2 years, and it occurred due to the damage to the cartilage at the time of dislocation, or maybe later due to the avascular necrosis. There may be presence of a retained fragment inside the joint, as we have already discussed that there might be some small chips which are present inside the joint, and which leads to the surgery also. So there are chances there is a very small fragment which remains inside the joint. So that will irritate the soft tissues around the joint, especially the articular cartilage, resulting into the osteoarthritis. And next is the ischemic necrosis of the femoral head. So whenever there are ischemic changes to the femoral head, that will eventually lead to the damage to the articular cartilage, subchondral bone, and the necrosis. So these changes will lead to the osteoarthritis of the joint. As you can see here, both the articular surfaces are not well defined. The margins are fluffy. There is sclerosis around the joint space is lost, especially from this area. So what is the treatment of osteoarthritis? Initially the treatment is conservative, but later on total hip replacement is required. Last complication is myositis ossificans. Now this is an uncommon complication. It usually occurs few weeks to months after the injury. Patient will report to the doctor and say that there is a persistent pain. Patient will find it difficult to move the hip joint. All the movement of the hip will be difficult to perform and there will be stiffness. So when the doctor will get the x-ray done, he will see that there is a new bone mass. As you can see here in the image, this is a new bone mass which is present around the joint, and the margins are fluffy, which indicates that the process is in its active mode. So treatment of this condition is rest along with analgesics. Now, how one can prevent this complication? The very first thing is, during recovery, the movement should never be forced, or there should not be too much stretching of the muscles around the joint. Now, in severe cases, there should be proper period of rest and non-weight bearing should be prolonged. So that is one of the important factors that will prevent the development of myositis ossificans. So this is all about posterior dislocation of the hip. If you like the video, share this video and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much.